Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Tax exemption deadlines are approaching for nonprofits in Lloydminster. The topic was discussed at City Council this week as the Lloydminster Interval Home Society had filed for a tax exemption for their property at 4904 56th Avenue. Now, their request was denied since the property would not meet charitable use requirements.
That comes with some very direct and qualified requirements. And one of the discussions that was held today was what are some of those requirements, and using a piece of property once a week for a 1-hour program does not qualify it.
Although the Society has other tax-exempt properties, the property in question would have had to undergo changes in order to be eligible for exemption.
Puts us in a difficult situation. We were given the option to explore creating new bylaws, and again, that is a concern because we'd be going against provincial legislation and making our own legislation. So it's certainly an item that is a great deal of concern. It was expressed around the council table, but at the end of the day, following where council has been in the past and decisions made of other nonprofit organizations that acquired land but did not move forward, that was not granted to approve their exemption today.
The deadline for all nonprofits to file for tax exemption is September 30th.
And before we take a first look at your weather forecast, meteorologists say this summer was a global record breaker for the highest heat ever measured.
Yes, Shelby. Now, the Earth has sweltered through its hottest summer ever measured in the Northern Hemisphere. Last month was not only the hottest August scientists have ever recorded by far, but it's also the second hottest month ever measured, behind only July 2023, so obviously this year. August was about 1.5 degrees warmer than pre-industrial averages, a threshold that the world is not trying to pass so far in 2023. So far, 2023 is the second hottest year on record, behind only 2016. So we saw a warm start to the summer, and it was warm throughout it, but we're kind of in a cooling off period. But it seems like things are going to warm up again as we head into next week, hey?
Yeah, and you never realize, like, as you're going through life, you know, how the weather goes and whatnot, that, you know, that's actually breaking a record there just behind 2016. Like, who would have thought?
Well, it's interesting to think about, too, because, like, it could be cold in one spot, warm in other, but overall across the world, it's a lot warmer than we've seen. So it's interesting to see that.
Exactly. So I guess good for us for breaking that record, but I know with the wildfire season, it's kind of got some pros and cons, that's for sure.
Not the record you want to be beating, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, as we take a first look at your weather forecast here on our Wednesday in the border city, like Jace was saying, we have been seeing a cool week, and we have been seeing that continue on for this short week. We are just sitting at 17 right now here in the border city, so we haven't quite reached just past that 20-degree mark just yet. But we have been seeing still another sunny day, a mixture of some sun and cloud. I know last night that storm was pretty crazy there. I know you probably heard it if you're here in the border city, so it was nice to see that it started to ease up a bit. But, you know, we have been seeing a beautiful day, I would still say, indeed. Here in the border city, we have been seeing a little bit more sun peeking behind those clouds, so hopefully everybody's still enjoying it. I think it's more of like a light jacket type of day today, but I think it's still quite beautiful. Going over the temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots are just sitting at those teen temperatures right under that 20-degree mark. Most are just sitting between 16 to 18 degrees on our Alberta side, so still looking quite nice for these temperatures, looking slightly warmer from what we saw yesterday. And then we have 15 up in Cold Lake, as they are looking at probably the coolest condition on our Alberta side. Going over to our Saskatchewan side, they are still looking quite cool compared to our Alberta side. They kind of are still matching with those temperatures that they saw yesterday. Some just sitting at 13 and 14 degrees, so even cooler than those mid-teen temperatures. Then we start to slowly warm up as we go a bit lower down, most just sitting at 16. We have 15 there in St. Walburg, and we go a bit lower to North Battleford and Macklin. They are looking at the warmest conditions there with 17 and 18 degrees. North Battleford will be going down to a low of 7 for their evening low temperature, so that single digit once again, another cool night expected. They are expecting a couple of showers later on in the evening as well, so if you're going to be out at all in North Battleford, make sure you got your umbrella still ready. Then for their Thursday, they won't be seeing too much of a nicer day. They are going to be kind of seeing 19 for their daytime high, so slightly warmer temperature, although the condition-wise, it's going to be mostly cloudy, and they are going to be expecting those showers to kind of continue on through the day. So it's supposed to be kind of a gloomy day for North Battleford tomorrow, so I would say just make sure you always keep your umbrellas handy on you. Cold Lake will be going down to a low of 6 for tonight, so they will be expecting that single digit for tonight. They will be cooling down quite a bit, and they are expecting a small chance of precipitation. They are expecting more of a cloudy night, cool and calm. And then for their Thursday, they'll be looking at that 17 for their daytime high as well, so kind of matching with what they saw today, but they are going to be expecting some showers in the morning, so hopefully they'll be seeing those showers and then seeing a little bit more sunshine peeking behind those clouds through the rest of the day. Here in the border city, we will be going down to a low of 7, so we will be cooling down to that single digit as well. We're kind of expecting that for this week, as we have been seeing a much cooler week compared to what we have been seeing last week. We are expecting more of a cool and clear night tonight. We won't be seeing a storm or any high chances of rainfall. And then we will be looking at 17 once again for our daytime high for tomorrow, so we won't be warming up by too much, but we should be expecting another sunny day. So I think that's really nice to see that we will be having some sunny days this week at least. And ending off the look at one of your weather photo submissions, and this one is from our dear Heather. Gorgeous shot at Bud Miller. Thank you so much for this gorgeous shot, Heather. I love to see it. Makes me so happy to see that, you know, having some fun outdoor activities, gardening, and looking up at the sky. So thank you. That's all I have for now for first look at your weather forecast.
Thanks for that, Shelby. After the break, how a camping trip turned into a terrifying ordeal for one Saskatchewan man. And moving to sports now, a little different kind of sports story. Students in the Lloydminster Public School Division are benefiting from a large donation from the Lloydminster Bobcats. Now, this morning, Bobcats Cade Fondele and Tig McAllister dropped off a van full of school supplies that they had received at their preseason and training camp games, as well as items that were brought to Ulmer Chevrolet and the Bobcats office.
Oh, it's huge for all of our schools. We will spread these out across all 10 of our schools, and it just addresses a big need out there in the community, and it's just a fabulous support that they just keep bringing more and more in here as we're standing here. So,
the Bobcats players were very happy to be helping out their younger fans and students.
Yeah, we are very aware that it's really important to give back to our community and our supporters that come out to our games and stuff like that. And without that support, we obviously our team doesn't float. So yeah.
Great to see the Bobcats giving back to the community like that. I know the school supplies will be used greatly by LPSD. It's time now, though, for us to check in with Shelby Clark for an update on your weather forecast.
Thanks again there, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, that's really awesome to see that the Bobcats are doing that for the community. That's really awesome. I think it really shows initiative and inspires others to do that, you know, in the community. That's great to see. But now taking an extended look at your weather forecast, we'll be starting off with our central zone of the provinces. We're still kind of matching with those temperatures with what we saw yesterday. We're, of course, still sitting at those teen temperatures, so we haven't passed that 20-degree mark just yet on our Alberta side, but hopefully we will be seeing that as we kind of go on through the rest of the week into the weekend. Most spots are just sitting around 16 degrees, and then we have 17 with Edmonton and Rocky Mountain House, 18 up in Athabasca. They are looking at the warmest condition on this side. Over in Jasper, seeing the coolest just at 12, and we go a bit higher up to Cold Lake, and they're just in the middle there with 15. Now going over to our Saskatchewan side, they have actually just reached past that 20-degree mark. Meadow Lake is still looking quite cool, just at 14 degrees. Then North Battleford is still kind of matching with us on our Alberta side, sitting at 17, and the rest are just sitting at 21, 22. So they are starting to warm up as we go on through the week. Going over to our northern zone, they actually have cooled down even more than what they saw yesterday. They were matching with us a little bit more with those conditions, those mid-teen temperatures, but now they are getting closer to just around that 10-degree mark. Looking at 10 in Walston Lake, while it is 11 up in Stony Rapids and Uranium City, looking at 12 there in South End, 13 degrees in both La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, and then Flin Flon is seeing the warmest condition on that side with 16. Going back over to Alberta side here to check them out. Here in our northern zone, they are still kind of matching with us with those conditions from what we saw yesterday, and they're matching with us a little bit more now today. 14 degrees in Fort McMurray, and then these areas here are still kind of seeing those mid-teens with 15 and 16, and then up in high level and Fort Chipewyan, they have cooled down quite a bit now, just at 10 and 11, but at least we are still seeing those double digits, so that's a plus. Going over to our southern zone now, they aren't struggling too much anymore, except for these spots up here with Calgary and Banff, now just at 12 and 13. Coronation is still looking at those mid-teens with 16. We have seen them cooling down quite a bit and matching with us with those conditions yesterday. But now looking at Medicine Hat and Lethbridge, they are past that 20-degree mark. 21 in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat even at 26. So quite a switch up in Medicine Hat. They are now seeing some nice temperatures, even getting closer to that 30-degree mark. Going over to our Saskatchewan side here in our southern zone, they are seeing some nice conditions. They were cooling down quite a bit, but now they have kicked it up a notch for today. 26 is probably the warmest condition on this side, with Moose Jaw and Regina looking at 23, 24 in Swift Current and Estevan, and then we have Kindersley and over in Yorkton just at 21 and 22, but they are just seeing past that 20-degree mark, so they are probably looking at the warmest conditions in all the zones that we have just been checking out. But now looking at some overnight evening lows on this list, and in our surrounding area, we will be cooling down once again for tonight, as we kind of expected those single digits to continue on for our evening low temperatures. A low of 5 now expected for Paradise Hill and Meadow Lake. So that's probably the coolest temperature that we have been seeing for, throughout the summer here, and even compared to last night. Looking at a low of 7 for Provost and Bonnyville for tonight, and Isla Crosse will be expecting the warmest temperature with a low of 8. But all of these areas will be looking at those single digits, so they will be cooling down by quite a bit, and Provost will be seeing around a 70% chance of some precipitation. So a couple of evening showers expected in Provost later on. Looking at our hourly forecast now for our Thursday here in the border city, as we kind of continue on through our week here. We won't be warming up by too much from what we saw today. We will be starting off on a cool note there, a little bit frosty there, around 10, 11 degrees. Then midday afternoon, we will be looking around 16, 17 for mid-afternoon. So should be warming up and kind of matching with what we saw today, because we are going to be expecting another day with a mixture of some sun and cloud, which is still quite beautiful in my eyes. Then Friday, as we head off into the weekend starting off, we will be seeing some nice temperatures. 21 on Friday, then looking at those mid-20s, 23 for both Saturday and Sunday. So we should have a beautiful weekend ahead here in the border city. Very nice to see that as we are going through September. And then as we head into next week, we are going to be seeing some beautiful temperatures at 24 Monday and Tuesday, and just cooling down to that 20-degree mark next Wednesday. That's all I have for now. RJ's Mackey will have more news coming up after the break. Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Roseanne Duchak, the chairperson of the committee for the Terry Rowland Trunk Show. Thank you so much for joining us today, Roseanne.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, glad to be able to speak with you and help get the word out ahead of time, because this event will be coming up near the end of the month here, and time flies. So starting off, just explain exactly what this trunk show is all about.
This is a trunk show bringing in Terry Rowland, who is a quilter who likes to go out and about teaching about her quilting, her love of it. She travels around teaching different quilting techniques and brings quilts with her to share in this trunk show. And as she presents and shows these quilts, might tell a story about it, or why she made this particular one, what might inspire her to make that one, and hopes by showing these techniques, she inspires others to do the same.
Now, would you say the committee has had these events before in the past, or is this the first time?
It's the first event with Terry Rowland, but the Guild has had a lot of different classes throughout the years, quilt shows throughout the years. So particular a trunk show, I believe, is the first one that we have had. and the first time that we have had Terry come out.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a great event. Now, what exactly is the Guild for people who aren't really aware what the committee is all about? Are you based in Vermilion?
Yes. The Guild has been going for, I believe it's 25 to 30 years already. I haven't been a member that long. The average probably is 25 to 30 people, although there have been more. And we get together, not always that amount of people, but we get together starting now in September twice a month and just get together to sew and share projects and enjoy quilting and enjoy visiting.
And what would you say was the inspiration for the committee to host this Terry Rowland Trunk Show?
We have started to see her different projects, different classes that she has done. And what really inspired us to start this was the trunk show itself, with her bringing all her projects, because she's a prolific quilter and just is amazing with her color techniques, with her quilting, with everything about her is just amazing.
Now, just expanding a little bit more on the information for the event, where and when exactly will it be?
It's going to be September the 29th at the Parkview Alliance Church at 7 o'clock in the evening at $10 admission. So it's going to be a lovely evening for just $10. So we're hoping to see a lot of people. It's not just people that quilt per se. It can be anybody that is interested in any kind of work, because these definitely are works of art. Quilting is artwork, and you will see that with hers.
And like what you just brought up there, for people that are interested, but they're not very much quilters themselves, what would you say would inspire people to want to attend this event and check it out, and why quilting is such a nice hobby?
Some people might think of a quilt as just a blanket, a quilt. It's patchwork, it's pieces sewn together. What Terry does is artwork. Like, she has one particular quilt, she calls it, I believe, the blue elephant. Well, it's an elephant and done in many different shades of blue. And that's not a traditional quilt, that's an artwork. Yeah, quilting is not just sitting and quilting a few pieces together to make a bed quilt. It's just everything from big bedside quilts to runners to wall hangings to, well, these, like I said, her blue elephant is going to be, I think, standing out with all of her quilts.
Well, I agree with you there. That does sound like very beautiful artwork, and I've always really thought it's so impressive what quilters can do, and just everything that they can come up with. I think it's very beautiful. So once again, thank you so much for joining us, Roseanne, and I really hope you see some great support for this event.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope to see a lot of people there.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
And I'm joined today here on Primetime Local News with Ron Eldridge. He's a newcomer to Lloydminster, and we're here to talk about the work that you're looking to do here in Lloydminster, and also talk a little bit about your story. So I guess we'll kind of start there. I'll give you an opportunity. Before this, you were in Winnipeg for a long period of time. So can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what your story is there?
Okay. My name is Ron Eldridge. I'll start off by saying I was homeless for over a decade. I was known as a transient homeless. I would go from coast to coast, hitchhiking, walking the highways, and sleeping under bridges, everything else. When I got to Winnipeg in 1987, it was September, middle of September. At that time, they were holding their Oktoberfest. And when I went, it was really cold, so I went into a country bar and just warm up. Sitting at a table having a Coke, and two ladies were sitting next to me. The one lady came over, introduced herself, and then we talked for a bit, and After a while, they invited me to their table. It was her and her sister. And they decided that if I was willing, they wanted to get me cleaned up off the streets, help me get a job, which they did. And in 1996, this was in '87, in 1996, we got married, and we formed a ministry after we got married called Devoted to You Street Ministries.
And so you went from being on the streets to then helping those on the streets in Winnipeg.
Yes.
And now you're here. You come to Lloydminster. Can you talk a little bit about what led you to come here?
Well, I was after my wife passed away a year ago. I kind of decided I wanted to get away, so I left Manitoba, did a bit of traveling. When places I went to, there was kind of a hesitation about me starting up a ministry. When I got to Lloydminster, a lot of people were very open to my idea. They really loved my ideas, and they said, we would love to have you here and start your ministry here. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to stay here. I found myself a job and started.
And you're settled here and you really want to make it work here. And you're doing it in the memory of your wife as well.
Yes, I am. It was my wife's idea to start the ministry in the first place, and I decided I'm going to keep the ministry going in her memory.
So talk to me a little bit about the work that's now going into it here, because you are new to Lloydminster still. You're trying to make those connections and really start up a ministry that's going to go out there and try and help the homeless population here in Lloydminster. So talk to me a little bit about what's going into that.
We plan on doing quite a bit of work with the homeless. I also want to get things going for the homeless that are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and also looking to work with single moms that are living way under the poverty line, that are having trouble making ends meet, as well as the seniors. And because right now they're at the end of every month, they're making a choice: do I pay rent or do I buy food? They can't do both. So we really want to work in that area with them as well.
And so what kind of groups have you been approaching, and what has their reaction been?
I've approached the men's shelter. I've talked to United Church, RCMP, several different people,
and they're receptive?
I'm getting very, very good responses from everybody.
That's good.
There has not been one negative response.
And so down the road, is there anything else that you're kind of maybe hoping to work towards, or where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, I would like to see, I know we have a women's shelter here for addictions, but I would like to have a women's shelter here for women that, where they find themselves, where they need a place to sleep, that they can go to and be able to go and have a bed for the night and a hot meal.
So you're hoping to kind of fill those gaps that may exist in the services in this area?
Yes.
Do you need any support from people out there, maybe assistance, be that monetary or just helping you out?
Yeah, I'm looking for people that will help out with donations of good used clothing. I'm talking sweaters, coats, mitts, scarves, socks, pants, pretty much everything. Also food. I need donations of food, personal hygiene items, backpacks. Now the reason for the backpacks is what we did in Winnipeg is we would get donations of backpacks. We would put personal hygiene items in the backpacks for them so that they'd have something to carry them in. And then they can also put their clothing inside and whatnot. Yeah. And then also gift cards as well, and monetary and whatever people can do to help us out.
And so how can people get in contact with you if that's something they want to do?
They can call me at 306-830-1030, and they can either call or text me at that number.
All right, Ron, well, thank you so much for coming in to share a little bit about your story and the work that you want to do here, and I wish you the best of luck in everything that you're trying to accomplish here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Now, Shelby, before we go, I feel like we've been talking in these kind of end of the show news segments a lot about Taylor Swift, and we're going to be doing it here again because the Edmonton Elks are getting in on the Taylor Swift hype.
It's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me.
The club is giving away a pair of tickets and airfare to see the singer live in concert in Paris at their game on Saturday against Calgary. Swift's North American tour made more than $2.2 billion in ticket sales. There is currently only one Canadian city on the stop. The Elks organization are hoping this giveaway will bring in a new demographic to watch the team play in person. They say ticket sales for the Labor Day rematch are up, and eligible tickets scanned prior to kickoff will be entered into the draw, and they'll be making the draw at halftime. So sorry, I kind of stumbled through that.
That's okay. That's okay. I think we're just a little bit too excited with all the Swifties out there.
I know, it's a big, you get to go to a football game and watch that, and then you might go to Paris, France. I think it's cool too that it's not like you're going to the Toronto show. You get a little vacation out
That's
of
a
it.
great opportunity right there. But I also want to add, this is my second last show. Tomorrow will be my last show. Last time here at Primetime Local News.
We're going to miss her.
I know, and it's been a pleasure being the weather woman for Lloydminster. So see you guys tomorrow, because that'll be my last day.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet time. Shelby's moving on to a new adventure, but we'll save our farewells for tomorrow, but just wanted to let everyone know about that. And tomorrow you're going to be talking safety tips with the RCMP as well for back to school, hey?
Yes, of course, it's that time. It's coming up here, so I think it's time that we check in with RCMP and just kind of see all these safety tips. Make sure that everybody has a fresh reminder for driving and everything else.
And maybe you guys can send in your farewell notices to Shelby, and we might show something in our show tomorrow. We'll see what we get back. That's all the time we do have, though, for this edition of Primetime Local News. For the second last time with Shelby Clark, I'm Jace Mackey. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Good night.